with an aim to help children with special needs.
She said, just go for it, and I said, okay, let's start it. So actually, Niraya has only happened during the pandemic.
She started her initiative during the pandemic.
This really picked up during the pandemic and it's still highly in demand.
NewsX India A-List proudly recognizes Nayika Sayal for excellence in social entrepreneurship.
Hello and a very warm welcome to NewsX A-List. Today I'm joined with Nayika Sayal. She is the founder and educator at Nirayaeducation. A very warm welcome to NewsX.
Thank you so much, Richa. Thank you so much.
Tell me something. Tell me, before we talk about the journey, because before we talk about the good cause that you're working for, it is important to know the reason behind starting. So tell us about what actually happened. What happened when you decided to start Nirayaeducation? How many years back was that, and how has the journey been so far?
So Richa, honestly, Niraya actually started just recently during the pandemic, when there was a transition between, offline and online education. And that's when I actually tapped the need. I felt that, there is a need to bridge the gap in the special needs sector. And of course, online education works in a lot of ways for many children, but for many children, it doesn't. Yes. So when it comes to this transition is when Niraya actually happened. And I've been into education for 8 years now. And starting with my Montessori degree, which is general education. Special education attracted me after that. Very fortunate to have a mother who's also been driven by passion. She was a golfer for the country. So she said, just go for it, and I said, okay, let's start it. So actually, Niraya has only happened during the pandemic, 2019.
Starting something during a pandemic, I would say I'm used to startups starting during the pandemic. So this is a startup in a very different way.
Yes.
So the impact of the pandemic must have been positive for the reason for you starting it during this time?
Yes, that's right. That's absolutely right. The pandemic has been positive because, this service for education was required door to door. And that is exactly what we do at Nirayaeducation. Apart from special needs children, we cater to general education as well.
Okay.
And this really picked up during the pandemic and it's still highly in demand.
Absolutely, because schools are yet not open and people are looking towards online education. A lot of understanding and awareness between parents have come. That's where I want to ask a few things, because you have some very interesting facilities at Nirayaeducation. Can you elaborate about them for our viewers?
Sure. So at Niraya, we provide education door to door for special needs children, of course, as I mentioned before. Apart from this, we are into employment for special needs adults, so after school, when they're already educated, what do they do? What's next? So adding value to their life, making them more confident about themselves so that they feel worthy is what Niraya's main objective is. And very interestingly, we have also got into training special needs children for state and national sport. That is the other thing Niraya does. Yeah.
That's very good. A very important thing that I noticed on your website was parent counseling.
Correct.
And I feel that is something very important, because at the same point in time when we were trying to educate a special need child, parents are needed to be educated as well. So how does that program work?
So I would say, Richa, recently counseling has really evolved. 10 years ago, people were not open to saying, I have a counselor, or I'm going to a counselor, or I have mental health issues.
Yes.
Thankfully, people have become more open-minded, more flexible, more aware about this. And at Niraya, apart from just counseling special needs parents, we have a unique program which is basically child-centric. Okay. And we focus on the child. So the child who's actually got special needs, we cater to them. So children with ADHD, with autism, with Down syndrome, they can come and actually talk to our experts and to our team about their issues, their perspectives on life, and what they want to do. How about what they want to do in life? It's all pretty much about the children.
That is exactly what I wanted to know from you, because talking about mental health, talking about any kind of disorder is not very common in our country. It's changing.
Absolutely.
Yet the awareness about it is still, I would say we live in very cosmopolitan cities. So the awareness is much more there, but we're still a long way ahead. So how are you planning to bridge this gap, or how are you doing it right now?
So at the moment, we are, we have these ongoing coaching programs for parents as well as for educators. And with our experts and skills, the plan is to tap this and bridge this gap. I saw this opportunity really during the pandemic, because I noticed, of course, being very fortunate to have experienced special education, which was not the plan, but it just happened. And when it did happen and I saw this need, I felt that, these educators around us, caregivers, when we talk about parents, caregivers, as well as children, these three are the main, elements to our ecosystem.
Yes.
And we tap that at Nirayaeducation. The idea is to train educators, to train caregivers. Today caregivers and educators need to at least be shown this is how to treat a child with special needs, and to speak to them the correct language used. So at Niraya, we plan to bridge that gap with the
How's the response
programs.
been so far?
Touchwood, the response, Richa, has been good, very positive. Touchwood, and like I said, during the pandemic, I think even better. And now, slowly, as I hear schools will open,
yes,
we have ongoing programs for after school activities. So for children and adults who require vocational skills and vocational training, Niraya is going to offer that as well. And apart from that, we have, as I mentioned, counseling is absolutely unique. It's something that can happen after school as well. So once schools open, I'm sure our classes might be eased out, but we will have our counseling, we'll have our sports element, employment going on. So there's a lot ahead.
Employment is what attracts my attention a lot, because it is very important that people with special needs and especially people who are educated should find some kind of employment, and some who do not have an education also should be able to find some kind of employment. So how are you taking that forward?
So Richa, recently, my co-founder, who is internationally based, Nayika Sayal, she's the one who's taken this initiative, and we've got very good response. Today, companies like IBM, Wipro, organizations like, you talk about Costa Coffee,
yes,
they all incorporate inclusivity in their corporate strategies.
yes,
so that is nice. That's a great change. But like I said before, we still need many more open-minded employers. It's definitely changing. The response is positive, I would say. But like I'm saying, we need more. We need much more collaboratively.
So, Nayika, tell me something. We've been talking about awareness. We've been talking about parent counseling. Something that will help you move forward is about maybe some policies by the government, some programs to be done by the government, which will help your sector a lot more. What kind of request would you have from the government when it comes to policy making in such sectors?
Good question, Richa. So I definitely think any education institution needs the support of the government. And if at all Nirayaeducation or NGOs or any institutions that are for the special needs sector specifically, we definitely need support from the government. For example, I'll give you a very realistic example. Technology is something that we require in special needs schools. And many times we don't receive it because of the affordability. So I'm not talking about private schools, and I'm not taking any names. But when we talk about even government schools, has technology really reached even general education? Forget special education, even general education. Technology is something that all schools across our country, I don't think it's really reached there. That's one example. Other example is training of teachers. When we look back at the Rehabilitation Act of 1992, where the government had actually said, and emphasized on standardized procedures and training for special educators. Again, when we look at small cities and even metropolitan, does every school in the country really have a special section? Are we teachers really sensitized towards to special children? I don't think so. So that is a gray area, and I think the government can give us some attention in this area and address these needs, and bridge the gap. Because
That is something you've pointed out very well, and we hope that the government takes notice of this, and you continue doing your great work.
thank you
This is
so
very
much.
important, and it's great to see that in bad times like the pandemic, something good comes out of it. Thank you so much for speaking
Thank
to
you.
NewsX, and continue doing your great work.
Thank you so much, Richa.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.